Hi, I'm Will Hesketh and this is Functional Yoga. So as always, just remember to make some space, make time so that you can really be present, which means removing distractions, be as playful as you can, be as grateful as you can, and be as compassionate as you can towards yourself. And just remember, you're amazing. You don't have to do anything, you are just amazing. This week's session is all about the legs. As always, it's going to be a bit of everything, but we're just going to be focusing on the legs. So the first session is all about getting things moving and feeling the muscles working, and also maybe getting a bit more aware of where we're restricted and where we're weak and where we're tight. So where the muscles are restricting us from moving into, and also where they're sort of maybe changing the way a joint is working and not making it work in the best possible way. So we'll start standing and we'll concentrate a little bit on the feet, and you will hopefully feel that as you start to work the toes and the feet, we start to feel those muscles in the lower leg that control things further down. So just start by lifting all your toes off the floor and just gently bending your knees, and just notice where your knees go to. This is really worth checking in a mirror. What's your habit with your knees? Do they go inwards? Do they go outwards? Do they go straight over the foot? Could they go straight over the foot? So if they go inwards or outwards, could you just get them gliding straight over the foot with the toes lifted? Then see if you could push just the big toes down and keep the little toes lifted, and again just gently glide through and see if you could keep that feeling nice and slow. I'm probably rushing it a little bit here, so just calm it down. Exhale as you go, inhale as you come back up. And then see if you could do the opposite. Push the little toes down and keep the big toes lifted. When you lift the big toes, try not to pull them across the foot. So try and keep that big toe ball of the foot down, and imagine you're squeezing something between your big toes. It tends to get the arch fired up a bit more. And then exhale as you come down, inhale as you come back up. I don't know about you, but I'm really starting to feel some stuff happening in the sole of my foot as I'm doing this. So just feeling your way through. Try and keep those big toes squeezing towards each other so they're going straight forwards rather than sort of pulling across the foot. So this is good for preventing bunions, or eventually working out of a mild bunion action, maybe, with lots of work. Okay, relax, give the toes a wiggle. And then we're going to gently push into the toes. So as you bring the weight forwards, push the toes into the floor, keep them spread nice and wide, grip the floor a little bit with the toes, and then see if you could just lift the heels and lower back down. So just gently lift the heels and lower back down. Again, try and keep those toes spread. Try not to let those big toes come into the center line of the foot. So try and keep those big toes facing forwards. Gently lifting the heels. Notice what happens with the heels. Do they go outwards? Do they go inwards? Notice what happens with the weight as you come onto the toes. Does the weight come onto the little toe side of the foot, or does it go straight through into the big toe? See if you could get it to go straight through into the big toe while keeping that strength through the foot. Okay. And then, if you want to, I find this to be a nice addition to this, let the arms swing as you go. So the arms go back as you push into the toes, and they go forwards as you relax down. Just do some big breaths. You don't need to do a specific breath as you're doing this, but just see if you could be aware of the breath, starting to tune into it, starting to feel a bit more playful. So this sort of swinging of the arms hopefully helps you feel a bit more relaxed and a bit more ready to be open-minded towards what you're doing. Maybe just letting you forget about what's going on in the mind a little and just feel what's going on in the body. Then we're going to go a little bit deeper if you feel like you could. So we're going to sit the bum down and back as the arms come forwards into this chair squat position, and then we're going to come up and push into the tiptoes again as the arms go back. So now see if you could exhale as you come down, inhale as you come up. And then hold when you get down there. Just put the hands on the knees for a moment. In fact, put them on the hips. Inhale, gently arch your lower back a little, so you should feel those glutes lengthening. And then exhale, tuck and flatten that lower back off. Inhale, gently arch that lower back. Exhale, tuck and flatten it off. Definitely suggest maybe resting a hand on the lower back while we do this so you can feel rounding it or arching it. So you arch as you inhale and you flatten as you exhale, possibly even round a little bit. But really just feel your way into those glute muscles. Notice what the knees are doing, see if they could stay hip width apart. Maybe add the arms, reaching those arms up and forwards and just hold it for a few more moments. And just see if you can find a point where you can really feel your bum muscles working. Use your abdominal muscles. Think about gripping in with the abdominal muscles side to side, like a corset around the waist. Think about lifting the chest up. Think about lengthening the back of the neck. Think about broadening across your shoulders. And then gradually and slowly see how slowly you can push back to standing. So with a big long exhale, big inhale, and then with a big long exhale. Really nice. Step it out. Give the legs a little shake. Give the arms a little shake, whatever you want to do to feel good. Now we come on to a different position, a lunge position. Right leg forward, left leg back. So what you're probably noticing is these are often similar exercises, but we're trying to do it with different focuses each time. Eventually, hopefully, these will feel really full, so you understand what to do with your whole body when you're in the position. Knee, ankle, hip alignment, toes facing straight forwards on both feet, and then just bend the front knee, bend the back knee a little. Pull your front knee backwards, pull your back knee forwards. So think about gripping those legs against each other. And then see, could you hinge forwards? So spine stays nice and tall, and then we hinge forwards as a unit. From there, we arch and tuck a couple of times. So inhale, arch that lower back, exhale, tuck. Inhale, arch that lower back, exhale, tuck. Now, see if you can find the point where you've got just a very little bit of curve in the lower back, strong control over the abdominal muscles, lots of work into that right glute. Push your way back up to that standing position. Whenever you're ready, we're going to add these arms into it. So the arms go back as you come up, and as they go back, you maybe lengthen into the front of this hip flexor a little because you tuck that pelvis and allow that to lengthen. As you exhale, bring it down. As you inhale, bring it up. If you want to step it a little deeper, you can do. And you don't need to go as fast as I'm going to go, or you could do it, it's up to you. Big breaths. Now watch where those knees, ankles and hips are going. See if you can keep those hips right in the center. Notice what the feet are doing. See if you can stop your toes from going white because you're gripping the floor so intensely, but see if you can keep the toes wiggling and spread nice and wide. Working right down into the feet as you go. Really feeling for that right glute activation as you hinge forwards into that lunge position. Whenever you're ready, we're going to change legs. You can do that through standing, or you can bring it down to down dog if you want to. Step it out gently, and in your own time, slowly take that left leg forwards and bring your way up to a lunge on the other side, or change legs, depending on what you're doing. Okay, pulling the back leg forwards, pulling the front leg backwards, hips nice and level, and then we hinge forwards. Inhale, arch, exhale, tuck. Inhale, arch, exhale, tuck. Inhale, arch, exhale, tuck. Now, find that point where you've got that subtle lower back curve. There's your point that we're going to hinge from the pelvis and come back up. So we're trying to keep that back fairly still as we go. Eventually, we might look to integrate it into the movement so it starts to become a bit more of a full movement, but for now we're just trying to activate that glute. So as you exhale, hinge forwards. As you inhale, bring it up. As you exhale, hinge forwards. As you inhale, bring it up, arms goes back. So now you might be lengthening into the right hip flexor a little as you're doing this. So as you're coming up, you can think about pulling on this back foot, pulling this back foot forward as you straighten the leg. Try not to come right up onto the tiptoe, just stay active in those toes, and then feel the length into that hip flexor gently. Feeling your way through that gentle swing of the arms, keeping that knee, ankle, hip alignment, really working into the feet. Make sure the toes are still active but not gripping the floor for dear life.
Don't need to go as fast as I'm going, remember, just go at your own pace, feel your way through it. By all means, check your form in the mirror, see if you can keep those hips bang in the center, knee, ankle, hip alignment on both legs. Whenever you're ready, either bring it down through down dog and step it out, or from a standing point, step it out. Gently bending and straightening the legs if you're in down dog, giving yourself a little shake out if you're standing. Then in your own time, gradually stepping that right leg forwards, walking the hands back towards it, and bringing your way back up, and you're in that lunge. Or if you're standing, just step the right leg forward. From there, front leg pulls backwards, back leg pulls forwards, and we lower down a little. We hinge forward, keep the abs engaged, reach those arms up and forward. And now we're going to change the arms. So once you've got the position strong, hips central as you can, take your right arm and bring it backwards, push your palm backwards. Just bring your left hand down to a comfortable sort of running position here. So a little bit of a bend, broad across the shoulders, feel that position. Now hopefully you'll find your torso just gently rotates that way naturally. Bring it back to the center and rotate it round. So bring the arms back round to here and then bring it back round into that running position. Now you can straighten the legs out and come up so it's not so intense, and exhale, bring your way down, inhale, lift your way up. Again, trying to stay central as you can with those hips, and we're just bringing a bit of arms and upper body into it as well while we're still working into those legs, feeling into that functional running position. Really nice. We're going to change legs, so it's up to you if you want to do that through down dog or if you want to do that from standing. Whenever you're ready, that left leg comes forwards and you bring your way back up, and we're on the same thing on the opposite leg. Take your time, don't feel like you need to rush. Give the toes a wiggle, get active, front leg pulling backwards, back leg pulling forward, a little bit of a hinge forwards. Reach those arms up to start with to get that length into the spine, broadness across the shoulders, and then right arm comes down just a little, left hand comes all the way back, palm pushes backwards. So we get that running position. Big inhale, wide across the shoulders, long in the spine. And as you come up, bring the arms back to the center. As you exhale, bring it down. Think about that subtle rotation through the spine. Really concentrate on what the legs are doing. Take it steady. Again, if you're just doing maybe 2 of these and really paying attention to it, it's better than just hammering through loads of them with barely any awareness. So really keep that awareness, keep that length in the spine, width across the shoulders, and strengthen those legs. Make sure those toes are involved. Don't let the feet go dead. Really nice. Whenever you're ready, step the back foot forward and step it out for a few moments. Okay. We're going to add another little thing to this. So right leg comes forward, left leg comes back. Forget about the arms and the upper body for now. Try and keep the abs engaged, try and keep the shoulders wide. Don't forget about that too much, but just focus on the legs mostly. Front leg pulling backwards, back leg pulling forwards. You're in that lunge position. You might step a little bit deeper. And then from there, we're going to see if we can push into that front foot, keep the hips central as you go, and then slide that back leg through and lift the knee. So we're trying to minimize the shift of the hips. So from this angle, pushing into that front leg, keeping those hips as level as possible, and bringing that leg through. So can you see here, I'm curving through the spine to make it easy for myself. If I stay really focused on what I'm doing, I can minimize that. There's loads more work into the foot, into the lower leg, and into the outer glute. So glute medius, that sort of area. So pushing into that front leg and bringing that back leg through. Stepping it back and bringing it through. So if you want to add the arms into this, it's the opposite of the legs. So right leg forward, left arm forwards. Right palm pushing backwards. Big breath in, wide across the shoulders, long in the spine. And bring that knee up and through, change the arms too. So, again, you can always make this more tricky for yourself by just staying bang on in the center. So again, if I do this with real awareness and control, I can stay as central as possible. When I get here, I'm having to put the foot down because I'm staying as central as I can. It's a really difficult exercise. If I don't, it's a really easy exercise. Okay, so as central as you can. So you can see that rib cage shifts to the left to make it easier. If I stay central, makes it much more tricky, and I have to put that foot down sometimes. Really working your way through. Let's go for 4 more. Two more. Really nice. Step it out or bring a down dog into it if you want to. Bring a down dog. You don't need to bring it from anywhere. Bring yourself through down dog. Left leg comes forward, right leg back. So again, deeper lunge if you want to make it deeper. Pushing into that front leg, hips as central as possible. Don't worry about the upper body just yet, just work on the legs. Bringing that knee through, stepping that knee back. Bringing it through, stepping it back. Exhale as you go, inhale as you come back. Now if you want the arms, it's the opposite arms, remember. So right arm forward, left arm back. And then when you lift the knee, left arm forward, right arm back. And the torso rotates in the way it naturally does with the arms. So again, from the front, central as you can. So you can see this is my easy position, and then shift the hips across, ribs compensate, shift the ribs across. Balance is all over the place now. Focus on that balance. Big inhale and exhale. Send the leg through and send it back. So feel your way through a few more. Take your time. Don't need to go fast with it. I'm going fast because I'm used to that action, but you could just take it really slow and monitor how you're moving. It's more difficult when you go slow. So it's more difficult to stay right in the center as you bring that back leg through and to get everything working together. So you can even do it in stages like this, so just touching the foot in a few different ways and just seeing, could you stay as central as possible as you go? Feel your way through. Let's go 2 more. And step it out. Take a little break. If you want to do down dog, you can do down dog. So now we come up to that right leg forward, left leg back position, and just go a bit smaller with this because we're going to add it into a full step through now. So both knees a little bit bent, knee, ankle, hip alignment right down to the toes, give the toes a wiggle. Pelvis nice and neutral, so remember just a little bit of tuck to keep that lower back nice and gently curved, lifting the chest up, broad across the shoulders. As you lift the chest up, check that you're not just arching the back. So keep that control down here, keep the bottom of the ribs tucked down a bit, and then lift the chest up. Imagine you're expanding that rib cage. Opposite arms to the legs, and then inhale and exhale. See if you could step fully through and change everything to the other side. Inhale and exhale, step back. Now see if you can really work on building the tension between the legs as you go. So when you're in this position, you're pulling the back leg forwards and the front leg backwards. So back leg pulling forwards using this hip flexor and a little bit of the quad, and then front leg using the hamstring and the glute. So you're pulling that front leg backwards. Build that tension in the legs and then let it just unwind as you step forward, so it should feel quite natural. And then same thing, build the tension in the legs and as you come backwards. Exhale as you go, inhale, wide shoulders, tall spine. Try and stay as central as you can, remember. Really try and pay attention to that central position. Build that tension in those legs and bring it through. So you're trying to get everything working together, really focusing on those legs, really focusing on that alignment. And then we're going to change legs again. If you want to do it through down dog, by all means bring yourself through. It's good for lengthening out the backs of the legs gently. In your own time, that left leg's going to come forwards, working your way back up to a standing position. Now, right leg pulling forwards, left leg pulling backwards. Control through the abdominal muscles, tall through the spine, wide across the shoulders. Right arm forward, left arm back. A little bit of a rotation towards your front leg. Tall in the spine, spine stays central, remember, and exhale. Step it through, build that tension in the legs, and step it back. So remember, you don't need to go too fast. You could do it in stages. Feel your way through. Remember, the back heel lifts. So as you come from one to the other, it's the back heel that's lifted. Keep the toes working, give the toes a wiggle. Whenever you're ready, step it out. Have a little shake out. Now we're going to look a little bit more at the rotation of the thigh bone, so muscles that are going to do that, and the muscles that need to lengthen, mostly the adductors, so and the groin muscles. We're working on abdominal control to start with, hips stay level, and then we're going to push into the right foot and lift the left foot with minimum shift to compensate. So for me, the shift is with my hips. You can see I'm sort of starting to banana my spine a little to make it nice and easy. If I try and keep my hips right in the center, now I'm really working that standing leg, particularly that standing leg foot, particularly around the outside of the hip and particularly the abdominal muscles. From this position, we place the foot either onto the calf or the toes can stay on the floor if you want to. Exhale, knee comes out to the side. Inhale, knee comes back to the center. Try not to rest on the leg, just have it there, skimming it for reference. So if you rest on it, it's easy to make the exercise really easy. Try not to compress into this hip. Think about pushing up right from the foot to support into this hip. Exhale as the knee comes out, inhale as it comes back. Let's go for 3 more. 2 more. And last one. And back to the center, same thing other side. Weight comes onto that opposite foot, so left foot, hips stay nice and central. Stay as central as you can as you lift that right foot. So once you get your balance, you can put the toes down if you need to, or you can have it lifted and rest gently, just skimming on the calf. Exhale, knee comes out to the side. Inhale, knee comes back to the center. Keep those hips still, remember. So we're rotating at the right hip, but we're not rotating at the left hip. So we're not starting to turn into it. We're not rotating down that leg, twisting that knee or anything like that. Everything stays nice and still in everything but that right leg. Really nice. Whenever you're ready, step it out. Right leg comes forward now. Left leg comes back. We're in our lunge. You might go a little bit deeper for this one, but just take your time, take it steady. So you can always go deeper later. Just see how it goes first. This right knee needs to stay completely still to allow this inside of the right thigh to stretch out. So keep that knee still and then turn everything away and the heel comes down. So now we're in sort of like a warrior 2 leg position. But the key thing here is not to let this knee drop inwards. So this knee stays over the ankle. And then from there, bring it back round to your lunge. So then when you come back round to the lunge, here's your sort of braking area. As you come out, you're shortening these muscles, and then as you come back round, they're lengthening, but they still need to be working to hold you back into that lunge. So gently opening out and coming back. I'll show you from the front. So from here, this knee stays completely still, and then we turn out to the side and bring it back round to the lunge. Out to the side. Bring it back round to the lunge. So, gliding through. So hopefully you start to feel a little bit of a stretch on the adductor here. You might not, because you might not need one, but just make sure that knee is staying still. If you don't feel a stretch, most important thing is just to check that knee and make sure that that's staying still. If it is, then you definitely don't need a stretch. If it's not, then maybe you're not feeling a stretch because you're not keeping the knee still. Really nice, and we're going to change legs, so you can either do that by just rotating out, rotating in, bringing it back round all the way to the other side, or you can just step it out and change. Left knee stays still now, and we turn out, and we bring it back round. Keeping that control, bringing it back round. Remember that left knee stays nice and still, and the hip stays in line with the left knee. So I've just realized that as I was doing this, I was leaning out with the hip here, but then that's still the same thing, you're twisting into that knee a little bit. So this hip needs to stay completely still, this knee stays still, and we turn out like that. So if you are doing it in the mirror, you should see that almost everything behind the hip disappears because it's all roughly in line with it. Keeping that knee nice and still. Work your way through 2 more. And last one. Step it out when you're ready. Down dog if you want to. So you might want something near you to hold on to for this one. This is a way to really get warm into those leg muscles. We're going to be right leg forwards, so if you're in down dog, just bring your right leg forwards and bring your way up. Push into your right leg and just lift that back foot off the floor a little. You can keep the toes touching down if you need to, and you can grab onto something for a bit of support if you need to as well. So we're trying to go from the hips facing straight forward, so that's really challenging. You know, you can be on this leg and just a little bit turned down, it makes it loads easier. If you bring it all the way around so that your hips are in line with each other, and you're really honest with yourself and try not to sort of let this knee collapse, let this hip push out, and you stay as central as you possibly can, that's really difficult. So see if you can really bring that level of difficulty into it, and then from there, then we turn out to the side position. So remember, you can still be doing this one that we've just been doing, or you can take it to this slightly more advanced position and turn out to that half moon style position. So it's sort of like half moon Ardha Chandrasana legs. You could come to the full position if you feel able to, but make sure you don't feel any compression into your hip on the right leg. So, or into your left leg, but it's going to be the right leg that you feel it more than likely. So bringing it out. So remember, no compression into the right groin, no compression into the outside of the right hip. Really work right down into that foot. Make sure you're keeping those toes wiggling and active. Bringing it back round, leveling off, using something for balance if you need to. It's good to have something for balance because then you can really challenge yourself. Turning it out as you go. So this really starts to fire up the glute medius and all around that glute, all the way down that leg into the foot. Feeling your way through, finding your way into that balance, not worrying about what the arms are doing, trying to keep the upper body nice and tall, nice and broad across those shoulders. Big breaths. Really nice. Okay. See if you could hold that half moon position, so that turned out position wherever you get to. See if you could hold it. Have a look at the knee, make sure it's not collapsed inwards. Working into that front foot. And relax out when you're ready. Same thing, other side. Weight comes onto that left foot, pushing into it, lifting those back toes off just a little bit. Try and stay as level as you can with the hips. Try not to let that knee collapsing. Try not to let those hips push over to the side. So here you can see hips pushing over to the side to make it easier. Bring it to central position, bring the ribs over as well, and it gets incredibly difficult. So all about trying to make it difficult for yourself without going too far that you're starting to get really tense. So really find the point at which there's effort, but it's not crazy amounts of effort that's making you feel tense or angry or frustrated. Keep it playful. Whenever you're ready, gradually start to turn out with the hips and bring it back round. If you've got a plant pot nearby, try not to kick it. So take it nice and steady. Remember, you don't need to add these arms, but they do assist with the balance a little bit as well. And it also helps keep those shoulders nice and wide. Think about breathing in wide across the shoulders, long in the spine, abdominal muscles engaged. So there should be no discomfort through the spine or anything like that. or discomfort into the shoulders, especially if you're taking these arms wide. Just make sure you're taking them to a comfortable width. They might just be here. They might be a bit more gentle. Feel your way through. Let's go for 2 more. And then we're going to hold. Whenever you're ready, hold in that position. Check the knee position, check what's happened to the foot as the arch collapsed. I just realized my heel had come out a bit, my knee had dropped in a bit, so I'm just going to correct that as I come back into it. Keep those abs engaged, long through that spine. Add in those arms if you want to, and hold in that position wherever feels okay for you. Not forcing. That front knee can be a little bit bent. It's better if it's a little bit bent and not locked out. Let's go for 2 more breaths. Really nice, relax. And step it out when you're ready. Fantastic, tricky stuff. So finally, now the legs are really nice and warm, we're going to try a traditional yoga position. There's going to be a few slight changes, but mostly it'll be in a traditional style. Right leg forward, left leg back. And then we're going to keep the front knee bent to start with. We're going to do exactly the same action, turn the hips out. So roughly, your front heel and your back heel are nearly in line with each other. Don't sort of force them to be in line with each other. So foot might be a little bit wider, but we're turning out. We're tucking that pelvis and keeping everything controlled through the abs. So that lower back just has a very subtle curve, especially down at the bottom. Feel down at the bottom. Make sure you've got that lower abdominal tuck. You're not just pushing forwards, letting that pelvis tilt forwards. Now from here, we're going to hinge gently forward and just think we're trying to stretch this muscle here. So we're going to go from the pelvis, we're not rounding the spine. So spine stays nice and tall and supported through the abdominal muscles, and we hinge from this right hip forwards towards this front leg and towards your front a bit as well. So your chest comes forwards towards the floor and also towards the front leg, and then very gently straighten that front leg out a little, and you should start to feel strong work on that inner thigh. Now if you want to make it full on traditional triangle, you take those arms wide. But the temptation here is just to get the hand down to the foot to get this pretty position. But as I've done this, I've collapsed down into the side of my body here, and this stretch here has changed from being in the big fleshy bit of the muscle and come up right up towards the tendon. So what we're trying to do is see if we can keep that little bit of bend in the knee and that little bit of hinge until we feel it in this big fleshy bit of muscle here. Take those arms wide. And remember, if you don't feel a stretch, you might not need a stretch. So there's no point lengthening muscles we don't need to lengthen. So that's why we work within a smaller range of movement through this class, because it's the normal range of movement, it's not acrobatic. Long breaths. Give the toes a wiggle. And then slowly see if you can activate through the legs, pull that back leg forwards and lift your way back up using both legs. Turning, pivoting on the feet. So now the left leg's forwards. Remember, we've come from this lunge position and we've turned out. So now we're in this warrior 2 position on the other side. Tuck in the pelvis. Keep that distance between the ribs and hips the same as you hinge forwards. And you know you're going from the pelvis. Hinging forwards, so it's hinging from this right hip. And then this muscle down here should start to feel under tension a little. Bend this knee a little bit, but allow it to straighten to the point where you start to feel a stretch. Don't lock it out though. So especially if you've got hyperextended knees, don't just lock it into that hyperextension. Keep a little bit of bend, off lock. Hinging down. If you want to, you could add those arms. Again, try not to just collapse down into it. Keep that control. You can use the hand on the leg for support. You can look up towards the top hand, broad as you can across the shoulders, long as you can through the spine. Feel the support through the legs. Grip those legs a little. Wiggle the toes a little. Breathe into it. Nice, smooth breaths. And then again, grip the legs against each other a bit. Think about this back leg. Imagine this back leg pulling you upwards as you come back up. Turn the feet to face front, walk the feet back in towards each other, and have a little shake out. Bring yourself down onto the mat when you're ready. So as you come down onto your back, just keep it nice and mellow. Get a really comfortable position, nice and even and symmetrical, so arms and legs unfolded. Relax those feet out to the sides, relax those hands out to the sides, let the palms face up, natural curve in the fingers. And if you feel discomfort in your lower back, then you might want to bend your knees and put the feet flat on the floor or have them up on something. So it could be pillows behind your knees, it could be a sofa, it could be a bed, it could even be the wall. Just noticing your breath as you rest. Notice how your body moves. Close the eyes if you're happy to do so. Relax the face, the jaw, the cheeks. All around the eyes and the eyebrows, in between the eyebrows and around the forehead. Just imagine it all softening off. Same around the neck and the shoulders. And just seeing how the body moves as you breathe, tuning into it, being with it, moment by moment. Letting the body just relax completely. Allowing it to happen, not trying to make it happen. Notice how the eyes feel. So are the eyes darting around behind the eyelids, or could they be calm? Maybe just looking up towards the forehead. How is the breath? Is it calm? Is it smooth? Could it be calm and smooth? Don't worry if it doesn't feel calm and smooth. Maybe starting to count the breath if you feel comfortable to do that. Counting to a certain number on the inhale. And then on the exhale, see if you could count to twice that number. If it feels okay, don't force it. So a big inhale for a count, and a big exhale for twice that count if possible. Taking it all in, moment by moment by moment. Experiencing each breath, each thought, each sensation, each sound. Experiencing your sensations or your senses. Without judgment.
with compassion, gratitude, playfulness. Maybe with a little half smile. Reminding yourself you're amazing. Just because you exist, you are amazing. Just being grateful that you exist. Grateful that life itself exists. Compassionate towards life itself. In your own time, slowly starting to give the fingers and toes a bit of a wiggle. Stretching out the arms and legs if you want to, having a move around any way that feels good. And in your own time, gradually and steadily, having a move about through the whole body. If you want to roll on your side, you could do that. If you want to stay right where you are, you could do that. Or if you want to finish off in a seated position, then just take your time and slowly bring your way back up to a seated position. Maybe keep the eyes closed as you do that if you want to. Letting the chin come down towards the chest. Gradually starting to open the eyes if you've not done so already. Gradually starting to bring the head slowly back up. And we'll finish there. Thanks very much for joining in. Take care.